previously on Avatar.
Welcome back! If you haven't seen the first video already, go back to watch that first to gain context on what's going on here. Link below in the description. This will take you to the Alien Evolution YouTube channel, and if you haven't subscribed there already, I highly recommend it. In a nutshell, this is the second part on a tier list style ranking of every animal in the Avatar franchise based on how plausible they are evolutionarily speaking. Part 1 covered animals of two elements, water and earth, and this part will cover the other two, fire and air. At the end, there are some miscellaneous animals that don't neatly fit into any of the one categories. Anyways, without further ado, let's go.
Fire.
The Fire Nation, consisting of a volcanic archipelago of islands in the far west of the world, has a diverse amount of animals exclusively found here. Many of the organisms here are birds or semi-aquatic, which helps them on their island homes. The lands here are rather fertile and semi-tropical, with a diverse amount of plants to feed the local ecosystems. Also, similarly to the animals associated with the Water Tribe, the animals around Sun Warrior territory will be included here. Starting with an animal found in the Sun Warriors episode, we have the aardvark sloth. These animals mainly resemble aardvarks, but have the hefty claws of a sloth. Despite their name being a deadly sin, these animals have thick claws that you do not want to see yourself on the bad side of. Ground sloths existed until very recently in our world, more resembling an aardvark sloth than the tree huggers we know today. We'll go with B tier for this one. Badger frogs are a bizarre combination of mammalian and amphibian traits, to the point where it's hard to say what this thing exactly came from. Is it a mammal that convergently evolved a frog-like body plan, or a frog that convergently evolved external ears and fur? Or maybe it's part of an entirely separate clade of tetrapods. Who knows? Because of this, let's give this guy C tier. I was going to rank them lower, but they are great listeners when you have problems, at least according to Zuko, and that gives them more points. Moving on to a much larger beast, we have the cow hippo, or the hippo cow? I kind of see it either way online. Anyways, a gargantuan animal that is basically a tank made of flesh. The cow hippo is shown to eat meat, and that makes sense, as hippos are more than happy to eat meat when given the chance. These massive beasts also have horns in a cow print pattern across their bodies, which I think kind of looks neat. Their main issue is the fact that they're massive animals native to an island archipelago, and island animals tend to be restricted to smaller sizes compared to mainland counterparts due to limited access to food. B tier. In comparison to the massive cow hippo, the turkey-sized dragon hawk makes up for their small size with brain over brawn. This bird of prey is very intelligent and is used by folks all over the world, primarily in the Fire Nation, to deliver messages. Message delivery is something that birds have been trained to do in multiple lineages on Earth, primarily in pigeons. These birds are a great addition to the lore of the series and seem rather plausible according to our criteria for this list. A tier. Dragonhawks share the skies with a variety of other birds, such as the toucan puffins. Toucan puffins seem to be a kind of seabird that eats fish, with the toucan part of their name coming from their vibrant colors, likely some sort of display. Living on rocky cliffs makes sense, allowing them to raise young far, far away from most threats. Another solid A tier. Going with the rules of 3 here, we have yet another plausible bird species. The raven eagle is an imposing, intelligent predator that uses brain and brawn to get what it wants. These strange predators would be a menace in our world, taking the physical attributes of an eagle and the intelligence of corvids, otherwise known as a living fighter jet, or a magpie if you're Australian. One of these was the animal companion of Sparky Sparky Boom Man, which helped him almost kill the young Avatar. Gonna give this animal A tier, just like the other two birds mentioned previously. Moving into a semi-bird flying animal thing, the lion vulture. Well, I don't know if I should count this as Fire Nation or Earth Kingdom, as we only see it in the show during the episode where Appa gets kidnapped and sold to the circus. A Fire Nation circus in Earth Kingdom territory. I may be wrong, but I'm just going to say this one belongs here and call it a day. Sorry if that's not fully accurate to the lore. Anyways, this animal performs the archetypal chimeric animal style found in the show, although the design inspiration definitely calls from griffins with the lion-esque body and the feathered wings. The only problem is the 6 limbs in a tetrapod argument, which is a little hard to explain to say the least. Because of that, I'm going to etch this animal in C tier. Moving from the sky and back to the sea, we have some semi-aquatic animals to examine now, starting with the iguana seal, one of my personal favorites. These animals resemble marine iguanas on Earth, just more aquatic than them. These organisms are well suited for their environment, and their adaptations make sense. And this could be the route that marine iguanas of Earth will take in the far future. This animal deserves A tier, but their similarity to marine iguanas could make an argument for S tier. An animal that is even more aquatic and Earth-like are clams. Mainly seen in the episode with the polluted river in Season 3, these messed up versions of Earth clams are otherwise indistinguishable. Clams can be found in almost all bodies of water, from rivers to seas. I'd say these guys get the S tier, not much else to see here or comment on. Moving on to another animal, we have the mongoose lizards. These animals had an iconic and menacing presence during the episode The Chase, in which Azula and her friends chased the gang whilst riding these animals. These animals basically are oversized basilisks of Earth, the key trait that they share being the ability to temporarily run on water. For an animal of this size, that seems rather implausible, but in a world where humans and some animals can bend the classical elements, who am I to judge? Besides, I guess that's literally what I'm doing right now. Anyways, before I give myself a headache thinking about that, let's just give them C tier and move on. The Fire Nation has a couple of other mounts that they use for a variety of purposes, similar to the mongoose lizards. The massive Komodo rhino is a large lizard with bony protrusions on its face that it likely uses to fend off conspecifics or for males to show off. Fun fact, I actually have one of these as a toy. Anyways, these large reptiles seem plausible enough to evolve, and horns are a fairly common trait that has evolved quite a few times among life. The only problem, similar to the cow hippo from earlier, is how animals this size can get so big when they are native to small islands. They need to be eating something to get them to that size, which indicates an extremely high amount of prey populations or plant material. Going to give this a B tier, but I could be convinced of A. Another mount present in the Fire Nation is the dragon moose. Dragon moose, besides looking super hardcore and having a pretty cool name, are fairly tame looking animals. They mainly look like a generic ungulate of our world, with some specific head ornamentations and a bird-like waddle. This animal simply shares a problem with other Fire Nation animals, mainly being oversized for life native to islands. Maybe on some of the larger islands, similar in cases to Australia or some of the larger islands of Indonesia, enough food can be around to support animals of this size. But since we don't really know that information, we'll just settle for B tier. Before we address the dragon in the room, let's cover one more terrestrial animal native to the Fire Nation's archipelago, the koala sheep, an adorable woolly companion with a temperament to match. These cute creatures seem to have a sheep-like body plan with a koala-like face. It doesn't necessarily seem too hard for an ovid to look like a koala, or a marsupial taking a sheep-like body plan. So I could see this one being very plausible for an animal. Given how chill they are in the show, they are either domestic animals, or their native island has no natural predators, perhaps both. These plausible and cute animals get A tier. Now, onto the dragons. Dragons are, in my opinion, one of my favorite animals in all of Avatar and my favorite fictional creatures of all time. However, according to the strict definitions we have in our ranking, these six-limbed, fire-breathing animals are a bit of a nightmare to explain biologically. On the same logic as other bending animals, the air bison and the badger moles, these guys seem to act like animals in the way that they seem to eat and reproduce, unlike supernatural beings which don't do those things. We're gonna have to give these guys D tier.
Air.
The air nomads were dispersed in 4 main locations across the world, mainly on some small island chains and upon the high cliffs of the mountains. The north, south, east, and west temples all had unique life to them, but unfortunately we don't actually have a lot of animals native to the regions that air nomads called home. However, to make up for the lack of unique animals, we will examine each native species here thoroughly and in a lot more detail. The first animal on the roster are fireflies. These animals are unique, but also from Earth, one of the few terrestrial animals that use bioluminescence. They use this to find mates and to display their toxicity to predators. These animals are very cool, but they are just animals from Earth, so they'll get their place in S tier and we can move on. A newcomer animal present in the northern air temples and a key lesson in early season 1 is the mountainous hermit crab. Hermit crabs on Earth live on the coastlines instead of deep in the mountains, so the only question to ask is how they got up there. With a lack of other scavengers up in that region, these crabs may be key to get rid of carcasses and nutrients in the leaf litter, similar to some beetle species on Earth. These hermit crabs likely lay their eggs in snowmelt water this high up in the mountains, and there are a few plausible ways these crabs can get their iconic shells. Hermit crabs don't actually make their own shells, inhabiting shells from other animals, and trading them with each other each time they outgrow their own shell. They probably get their shells from snails around the area, or from debris such as fallen branches with a hole inside, or the outer shell of dried fruit. Regardless, these mountain-dwelling crabs get a solid A tier. Another surprisingly plausible animal native to the region are the iconic flying lemur, with Momo being one of the most recognizable creatures in the entire franchise. Flying lemurs, being lemurs, are primates, and primates are one of the most diverse orders of mammals, taking the bronze medal and only bested by rodents and chiropterans, or bats, in terms of species diversity. Primates have a variety of locomotion styles, so flight may not be out of the question, with ancestral flying lemurs likely native to a region with some trees distanced by huge amounts of grassland, requiring gliding to get from one patch of trees to another. This likely continued, allowing the animal to become volant, or flighted primates. Also, one of the closest non-primate relatives to humans are colugos, which look awfully similar to flying lemurs. Because of these arguments, I would give Momo a similar rank of high A tier right next to Naga. Another iconic animal found only in the Avatar franchise is Appa, the sky bison. These animals are one of the most unique to the show, featured across multiple shows and in the books, and many pieces of merchandise fit for a fan favorite. However, these animals are a bit of a logistical problem. Sky bison are 10-ton, 6-limbed bison that use airbending, effectively magic in our eyes, to fly? I think we can all agree that as awesome as the sky bison are, we're going to have to give them D tier on our tier list. Moving to more humble beasts that shared space with the air nomads, we have the spider flies. These animals are quite a terrifying concept, taking a web-weaving spider and placing wings on them. Canonically speaking, they are known to get stuck in their own webs, which makes them more amusing and less terrifying. Unfortunately, we don't see them in the shows, but apparently they are mentioned more in the books, but I haven't really read those yet. It's not too out there for spiders to evolve flight. They are a very diverse group after all, but it seems a little out there. Because of that, I'm going to give these guys a C tier ranking. Part 5. The Other Regions. This section in the ranking covers animals or spirits present in different parts of the world, not strictly in the domains of the Water Tribes, the Earth Kingdom, the Fire Nation, or the Air Nomads. This mainly includes places such as the Spirit Realm and the United Republic / Avatar City, or some other places where I didn't really know where these beasts belonged to. Starting off, let's just get the spirits out of the way. According to the list, they are beings beyond biology, so they can't really have evolved, like ghosts and stuff. You wouldn't say a ghost evolved, right? He-Bei, Ko the Face Stealer, Wan Shi Tong, and the giant wolf spirit all get F tier for being spirits and not animals. Another animal on the list that needs some answering for is the faceless monkey, seen in the episode with Ko the Face Stealer. This victim of that malicious spirit was forever marred by the magical encounter, but what was this animal? If it's just a monkey, then we can give it S tier, but what if it's a hog monkey or some other animal native to the Avatar world exclusive to our own? It's really hard to say. Because we don't know what this thing really is, we'll just throw it into the bottom of A tier and call it a day. If you disagree, put it in the comments and we could possibly fix that. The flying boar is another bizarre animal whose rank is rather dubious. In the main show, we only see this creature in Aang's vision and in the insignia of the Beifong family. Based off that information alone, we can assume that this animal doesn't exist and lands in F tier. However, the books have testimonies of flying boars existing in the canon, and going off of that, we would have to put them in C tier alongside the lion vulture. If these animals did exist, however, they would be real menaces. Wild boar and feral hogs generally are very dangerous animals, especially in urban areas, and pack a very mean bite. One of the easiest ways to avoid them is to get to higher ground, but if they could fly, then you would probably be toast. What also is a bit more complicated than the spirits are the lion turtles. These beings are key to the lore of the entire franchise, being where bending itself originates from, and their blessing of it to the people, allowing for technology and culture based off of a unique magic system. According to the wiki, which may be incorrect, the lion turtles seem to have had some animalistic traits such as maintaining populations, eating, and behaving more like living beings than supernatural ones. They also apparently were hunted to near extinction? At some point? I didn't know that. Anyways, I'll just give them a D tier and put them next to the other animals that can do bending. Fire ferrets can be found in the Fire Nation and the Earth Kingdom, primarily within the United Republic and Legend of Korra. This animal looks very similar to Earthling ferrets, but has the coloration of a red panda. Like mentioned before, convergent evolution could be in play to explain their fur color looking so unique, but it may have some other fun implications. For many mammals, they struggle distinguishing orange from green, so animals such as tigers will blend in easily in the jungle despite being a vibrant orange in our eyes. Fire ferrets may be surprisingly potent predators that hunt small game in forests and thick grassland, and earn an A-tier spot on our rankings. Lizard crows also get a small cameo in the later seasons of Legend of Korra, found in the dry and rural regions of the Earth Kingdom. Corvids are intelligent birds, and lizards are quite adaptable generalists broadly speaking, making these animals well suited for many different environments. Their only problem is being hexapedal tetrapods, like many animals before on this list. Besides that glaring issue, these animals would be an interesting and fairly plausible. We'll go with C tier for them. The last animal we are covering is one of the most beloved creatures in the entire Avatar fandom, being the turtle duck. A strange yet beautiful animal, this above all others. It is a massive headache to consider how they evolved. Their front limbs and hind limbs are identical, losing their wings that they likely would have had before becoming aquatic. And then they have a shell? Why? None of this makes sense. Almost makes me wonder why I made this tier list to begin with. Because of this assortment of chimeric traits, I kinda have to give this beloved turtle duck C tier. That should be it, I think. There may be some animals that we missed, and if we did, let us know in the comments below, and I could come back to make a third video correcting mistakes. Thanks again to Alien Evolution for the collaboration, and I would love to do more of these in the future. If you would like to see content like this happen more often here, please subscribe to both this channel and his. Thank you so much, and have a great one, everyone. Also, if you are here for the Parias content, which I assume a lot of you are, I have great news for you. Episode 9 Parias, at the time of you seeing this video, is being worked on. The script will probably be done in a week or so, and I intend to release it before July. And for the people who are here for the Serena audiobook series, I'm going to release those videos in mid-August, and continue that until later on in the autumn season. These videos will to starve off the frigid temperatures. Stave off, not starve off. They become more of a nightmare, based on nightmare, the more disparate. These animals historically are inspired by rabbits infected with papillomavirus. Papillomavirus. There we go. Spines on mammals have evolved in mammals. Isn't that great? This cephalopod lives quite far away from water.
They live far from the water, mate.
It wouldn't be impossible for monotremes or leg-aying gorilla goats are also in a strange position, as well as the saber. Let me try to reset that. Gorilla goats are in a strange position, as well as the saber-toothed mountain lion. One could say these guys are the goat of Avatar-style chimeras, eh? Oh, well, I tried. Looking at this one just kind of makes my head hurt. C tier. Anyways, this animal is the archetypical. Is it archetypical or archetypal? I think it's archetypal. Yeah. Thank you to Alien Biosphere. Not Alien Biospheres, my bad. Unfortunately, we're going to ruin the streak now with a different flying animal. Why did I write it like this? Part 5, the other regions. This section.
What the sigma? What the sigma?
Another surprisingly plausible animal native to the. Anyways, okay. Auction. This take was. Yeah, I don't really know how to end a video like this. I've really done a collab before, so just bye.